But the last thing that I wanted to cover with you today happens to be a session on new capabilities. Now, again, we've talked about Issuetrak a little bit, and we've talked a little bit more about new capabilities that have been added into Issuetrak. And I wanted to go ahead and give everybody that a little bit of a look at some of the things that we've added since we talked last. These are going to be some of the different capabilities that have been added. I'll try to even give you some of the release information and show you what the features are. The first thing that I'm going to discuss here is 11.6 and 11.7. 11.6 and 11.7, we pretty much covered the capabilities in our last webinar, new capabilities. They mostly revolved around the incoming email module. So what I would do is, if you want to take a look at some of those capabilities in here, go to the Help Center, and when you go into the Help Center, just look up Release Notes, and you'll be able to go into 11.6 and 11.7. There was a lot of changes to the incoming email module and capabilities related to the incoming email module added in 11.6 and 11.7. So please become familiar with them. But what I'm going to do now,
Mike, or they can go to the resource page and watch the 15-minute video from December.
Yep, that is true too. They can also do that. I wanted to go ahead, though, and give you some of the things that came up as far as the software is concerned. That's what I really wanted to focus on here. Schedule the 11.8 notable enhancements. So here, schedule reports can now be set to run at 1-hour intervals. In order to support this new ability, the schedule report writer on Windows Scheduler test has been changed to run on an hourly basis. You can run a new hourly schedule report set to run during specific hours. Also, you can do that for daily, and weeklies can now be set to specific times. So what we're talking about is within the product, and again, we're going to kind of bounce around back and forth here, but I wanted to go in here into the CS training, and we'll go down to Home. See, I can't even figure out where I am. And I'll show you, when you go to Reports, and you go to Schedule Reports here, you can go in here and run something on an hourly basis. So here's an hourly example. This one is set up to go out in Excel on an hourly basis. It starts at 8 a.m. and it ends at 5 p.m. So this report that I've created would be able to go out. One of the things we created this for is for use with products when we wanted to try to provide a way to automatically send data out that could be used for things like Power BI, which is going to be doing data mining and try to get more information to those type of products on a more consistent basis. So that was how we started doing this. So another thing that I did is Enable Test Run. This is the button I didn't know about. I went ahead and clicked on that today, and what it does is it enables a test session so you can get an idea of exactly what's going on. The other thing that I just mentioned is some capabilities in some of the other options. So here, if I go back to List All, one of the things you can do is a time of day example. So some of the reports that you can use, the dailies and the weeklies, you can set them to run at a particular time of day. A lot of people didn't like the 5 a.m. reports that we set up. You know, if you happen to be in England, they're running, you know, middle of your morning. If you happen to be somewhere on the West Coast, they're running halfway during the night. So you wanted to be able to control when they ran. This gives you that capability of being able to control when those reports are going to run out now. So it's a nice enhancement to our schedule reports capability. Another thing is an additional output option that we added to our report writers and into our reporting tools. When I look here in the schedule reports, we have another option now. We used to have HTML, Excel. We now have CSV options. So you can export directly to a CSV file as well as send it out by HTML or Excel. That was also extended to our search and our report writer options too. So when I come down here and I want to do an output, and the output options will now list brief and detailed exports to CSV. If I do a quick report here, and I'll also show you here by doing an open issues report, which is not that many, that you're going to also have the option to do a brief and detailed export to Excel and to CSV. So we've increased the ability to work with CSV files within Issuetrak and giving you additional capabilities that you've asked for. Another thing in here is you can select rolling dates and relative date conditions in the report writer and schedule reports for specific days, weeks, or months. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go into the query builder very quickly. So I'm going to go to reports, and I'm going to go to the report writer and go to a query. So I'm going to do a new query very quickly. Well, I don't want to do a new query, forgive me. If I do a new query, we'll be sitting here for a while, list that 18,000 things. So I'm going to just go ahead and edit an existing one. So here's query 1. I'm going to do a quick edit. When I go to quick edit, I'm going to go in here to the filter where I'm trying to build a filter. When you select the date field, so example, I am going to go ahead and do a signed on. In the drop-down conditions, we've added days, weeks, months, and years. When we select days, that means that now we can say, I want to see within the last 30 days. So it'll always be 30 days. I want to go in here and select within the last number of weeks or months. So I want to see the last 5 weeks. So you can now go ahead and have some relative due dates based off of the conditions for days and weeks. Also at the bottom here, I want to point out that the filter statement in here will expand as we put in a longer statement. We've had some people that put in statements that would essentially be about this long over here that would run out of room and you couldn't see the entire statement. So we now are expanding this box for the filter statement according to the length requested. There have also been a couple of database and data set enhancements. Now, for some of you who may not be running these very often, in our query builder, we use a data set. And a data set is really the definition of the information that is being selected. So what it is we go in here, we select things like the issues, and we get this data set, and it has all of the fields in here. So we've done links to the issues, to the users' records for the assigned tos, or the submitted users, or the entered by. The location fields have already been defined. Well, in one of the data sets called the issues and task, which is the task section, we've added a couple of capabilities in here, and this is one of them. And I keep going backwards here, my apologies. But we've had a task completed ratio. Remember when I talked about earlier looking on the My Issues page, and you may not have been in that particular session, but we use a ratio, and it's usually in green. It's something like 6/7 or 8/8 or something like that. Well, it's actually a completion ratio. What we do now is within our output options for our report capability on the issues and task data sets, when I get down to tasking at the bottom here, then I can put that ratio that we display on the My Issues page into our output for our reports. So you can now add that field into Issuetrak. Another capability that you have here is you have the ability to add a location created on. So again, in the locations information that's in most data sets, you'll see a location created on so you know when it was created. And also there's a new data set only available to users with administrative permissions. And that is a management data set, and it's called restrictions. And it gives you the ability to list all of the restrictions in Issuetrak, the item name, who it's restricted to, the type and restriction type that's in there also. Nice capability to go in and take a look at a report of all the restrictions set within the site. Now, another enhancements that we have. Also, there's been some in 11.9, so we've moved into the next version. There's been some enhancements to the UI. For example, we've looked at some of these pages and we've made some changes to make them look nicer and work better. Active Directory business in here. There's some few more pages in here when you're looking at. Most of the things have to do with the look and feel. With Issuetrak, menus have been standardized and vastly improved. Page content has all been left aligned. Section headers have been added in some sections, page headers. We have more horizontal rules in some areas. And other things that we have, there's some option labels have been added, made bold for better emphasis. For the most part, we've tried to make your experience with how the software looks better, and we've also made sure that it works better both in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Explorer 11. Now, moving on to that, this 10. Probably one of the biggest things that I've heard again over time has been issue de-escalation. Now, for those of you who don't know what issue de-escalation is all about, if you go to My Issuetrak, we can have business rules that can escalate issues, and you'll see these with these big red E's like this. So here's 1295. This issue has escalated, and it says currently escalated, and when you click on that, it says it's escalated by a rule that went on here was unassigned. Well, once the issue was escalated for unassigned, it could never be de-escalated. It's always an escalated issue. Even assigning it, even though we assigned the issue and took care of the problem, it's still an escalated issue. Now you can click on de-escalate. You click on de-escalate, you say okay, and the issue now would be de-escalated. So when I go back and I look at 1295 in the list, the little red E should now be gone. The history stays though, but it's no longer an escalated issue. Now, this is an optional field on the features page. You have to go in and enable the feature before it can be used. So go in and enable it and start de-escalating some of your issues. Big piece that, well, again, we've had one. Paul's in the background clapping. You can't hear him, but he's behind the wall over here. Now, this is also the issue that we talked about when I was building in the custom screen in the last feature. The last feature, we had a capability where we went in here and we went ahead and added a hyperlink field. So I'm going to show you a couple quick picks. And this quick pick here is going to be an example. If I can get it to scroll. Did it disappear on me? There it is, H. Here's a change request. Well, this change request, when it goes ahead and loads, is going to have a user-defined field that's now allowing me to link this issue to a URL of another issue or to another resource. So if you have another program that you're tracking, or if you want to link it to a web page, you can put the URL in here and you can have as many of these fields as you wish. Something, again, Paul and I have asked for a long time. Another option, which was even better, is when you come down here again, there's one called R. This is to allow you to relate one issue to another issue without having to paste the URL. For example, I can go in here and I go 1095. Hopefully that's an issue number, and it is. Now this issue has been related to this issue. So if I click on 1095, I can now have a hyperlink directly to 1095. Now I'm going to go in here and do a quick search for something. Now I'm going to go in here and take a look at a home. I'm back on the me, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to find a transportation issue. So let's see here, education, let's see, page control, human resources. I'm going to find one that is incident reporting, I believe. I think all of these use the same thing. The reason I want to find one is because it's nice to be able to show you what this capability really does. In this particular issue, 1271, I can go in and associate that issue. So I'm going to edit this issue so I can put something in here. And I'm going to associate it with 1272. 1272. I do an add here. Now I'm going to click on 1272. And then it's going to show me that that issue now has been associated here. What's supposed to show me that? The idea is you have both associated issues and related issues. Essentially, it'll list here right beside it that that issue has now been associated to 1272. Now here, 1271, I'm going to do an update. And then all of it should link in correctly. 1272. Refresh this issue. Now that it's been updated, and 1271 is now listed. So now you have associations with associations. You can have this issue then associated with another issue, which means it would be listed on this issue, which means I could associate with another one. So you can have lists of these. Matter of fact, you can have multiple issues listed on here as it being associated with that particular issue. Nice capability, especially if you're doing change management, where you want to go in and associate multiple issues with a change request. Now you can do that very easily within Issuetrak. So let's kind of get this one out of the way. Let's bring this one back and see if I can get back to where the heck I was. Close my windows. Close my window. My window will come back to me here. So, tooltip. As I mentioned earlier when I was doing the user-defined fields can have tooltips associated with them. There used to be track tips. We renamed them all to tooltips now. And now they've been expanded because now you can put them on user-defined fields to define what you want. Also, as I mentioned in the previous demos, the quick picks now, your custom screens can have a associated quick pick name field added to the custom screen. So when you use a quick pick, you'll be able to add the quick pick name to the issue record so you can do reports on which quick picks are being used. The issue change log has been enhanced, so it's all tracking now all the issue user-defined fields. Recurring issues can now be set to a time of day, just like with the daily, weeklies, and bi-weeklies, just as we heard. And the survey completion information has been added to the issues change in data set. I'm running a little bit short, so I just want to go ahead and finish these up. The mobile settings can now have a default view that can be set. And then I thought I'd give you a little bit of a teaser for next time. We're actually in our beta testing on release 11.11. 11.11 has a few little new niceties that have been added to the Track PC program within Issuetrak. The Track PC program, for those of you who use asset management, has long needed a little bit of work. We did a little bit of work, added some major capabilities that I'm not going to speak about until next time. But keep an eye out. Look for the changes in Track PC. I think you're going to be excited, especially for those of you who happen to use something besides Windows. So, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tony and see what questions we have to end up.
Mike, that was a nice tease for next month. Thank you. Two questions came up. I think I know the answers. The recurring issues, there's no logic in there to exclude holidays where you define your holidays inside your Issuetrak from the business rules section. What happens?
I don't think so. Normally, what would happen is it would always go out on the day following the holiday, if I remember correctly. Paul, can you check me and just slack me out the response? But I believe what happens if you happen to be closed on a Sunday and it's designed to go out on Sunday, it should go out on the Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that is correct. But again, it's been a long time since someone's questioned that one for me, so I apologize.
So your answer was you think it does have
I believe it does. Yeah,
usually
I believe it goes out on the day following is what happens.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, Paul is saying he believes the same thing. He says he believes so as long as you set the days off. But both of us need to verify. Please provide your contact information. We'll go ahead and verify that and get back to you. And of course, try to give you a response. I'll also see if maybe I can get our favorite blog lady, Ashlyn, to see if she can maybe do a little blog on that too.
Let's see. Jennifer is a great customer of mine. We've collaborated and worked together and gotten features in the product that, quite frankly, were nice improvements. A couple of questions came in. She's asking about the next release at 11.11. My understanding is we're testing that internally. Is that correct, Mike?
That is correct. I've got 11.11 on the CS training site, as a matter of fact, today. So that was the version I was using today.
And see it?
I can get there. 11.11 build whatever it happens to be. So yeah,
okay.
You can see it right at the bottom.
So that one's coming out shortly. Should be in customers' hands. The release rollout is we make the announcement. We typically apply those to our cloud customers in either across the board for all of them or your individual VM servers, and then we make it available for the on-premise customers. I do, as a rule, urge all of my customers to upgrade a test environment before going live on a production site. So just my safety briefing there.
Paul reports that testing was going well, but he hadn't had a chance to break anything yet. So he hasn't put his hands on it that much yet. As soon as he puts his hands on it, something will break. That's the way it is with Paul. All right. Anything else?
I'm not showing any other questions. Sorry.
And it doesn't have to be about what we've talked about today. It can be anything that you want to ask us about related to Issuetrak. Let's keep it related to Issuetrak.
I got a couple of people I'm going to follow up with offline. I got the chat logs, so I'll read through theirs, make sure that the answers were full and completely accurate. I was kind of multitasking, so if there's typos in there, stuff like that. But we'll be doing that follow-up. Again, on behalf of Mike, Paul, and I, thank you, everybody, for your time. This has been late in coming, but we're trying to backfill, make sure our customers are staying up to speed on the new features, and as new system admins come on board or new agents, getting them immersed in the product so they can backfill for you all as needed. So thanks again for attending.
Thank you all.